Har Har Mahadev. Today I'm going to be talking about one of the books that I'm reading, which I was too skeptical to read for a very long time. It is none other than Shiv Puran. It's translated by Bibek Deboray, and which is a very wonderful translation because it's translated as it is from Sanskrit to English. Now, a bit into my story, growing up, or even when I was in college, I was an atheist, or an agnostic. I did not believe in God, and I was not even sure of its existence. And it's only been recently, in the last 1 or 2 years, through a cascade of beautiful incidents that I discovered God and Dharma. So when when I was planning to read Shiv Puran, the skeptic in me was still there. If I should read this book or not, because these books they were written, God knows how long ago. I mean, 5,000, 6,000, 10,000. No one knows, right? So my question was that will they be relevant today, or should I invest my time or into reading something else? So I decided I'll just give it a try, like read a few pages here and there. And if I find it interesting, I would read it. Otherwise, I would let it go. And anyway, I had recently started this practice of going to temple every morning. I'm praying every day. So it's beautiful. My life is beautiful as it is. But then since I pray to Lord Shiva, I wanted to know more about Lord Shiva. And even when I was skeptical, I wanted to dive into it. So if you want to know something about something, why not go to its source? Hence, to understand more about Lord Shiv, I picked this book. Now, this book, it blew my mind. The writer, Ved Vyas. Okay, so the writer, again, it's a mystery. The story goes that it comes directly from Lord Shiv, which is understandable. And then it says that it was then narrated to, I think Brahma says it to his son Skand Kumar, and from that he gives it to Vyas. So ancient Indian traditions were more of oral tradition as compared to written tradition. So it was being said from one person to another. So it said that God gave it to man and this rishi or monk, this Ved Vyas, Maharshi Ved Vyas, he gave it to the entire humanity. Now, so for the sake of this discussion, I will just say that Ved Vyas wrote Shiv Puran. Now, the intelligence of Ved Vyas, the understanding of Ved Vyas, and the sheer experience of Ved Vyas. I mean, the way he understands human psyche, the way he could feel different things, it's just unbelievable. Like the things that I can barely talk about. Like the questions starting with who am I? It is something that has bogged down the world's greatest thinkers, and no one knows the exact answer. And to answer that in a very poetic way, I mean, Ved Vyas was a god. That's it. I mean, I can't say it in any other words. How he describes Shiv is that there was a time of Mahapralay, like all destruction. And then there was silence, there was darkness, darkness that cannot be pierced even with a needle. And that darkness, that silence, that completeness was Shiv. You can understand it, you can feel it. You will have to put in some efforts, but you can feel it. Just start meditating and try to settle down your thoughts. If you can do it, so far so good. If you can't, you can use chanting as well. Good way to do it is just keep on saying Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya in your head until your thoughts die out. And you don't necessarily have to say Om Namah Shivaya, you can say anything out of respect for Shiv. And I will explain you what Shiv is in a while, but out of respect for Shiv, I always say Om Namah Shivaya. You can say anything that you want to say. It doesn't matter. All that matters is that you go deep inside you, you let your thoughts settle down, and then what remains? The nothingness, the emptiness, and the completeness. The time when there is no self and you're connected with the entire universe. That completeness in you, that is Shiv. That's it. Now, such is the human nature that we cannot keep that calmness, that nothingness with us like for a very long duration of time. Such is our brain that we will have thoughts, and there's nothing inherently wrong with thoughts. Thoughts are there to solve problems. They are good tools, and you're going to need thoughts, but not all kind of thoughts. Some of the thoughts are just irrelevant. You might have noticed that some things you're thinking that has nothing to do with anything. They're just irrelevant, right? So realizing this calmness, this nothingness within you makes you pick the right thoughts. And to any challenging problem, the solution comes from inside. The misery is dispelled, and it's filled with bliss. Now, this is very difficult to explain. As it is, it's very difficult to explain, very difficult to comprehend, and you need to do deep meditation for a long period of time. Right now, I've been meditating since, I would say, 2018, 17 or 18, I started meditating, and I knew the principles of meditation. Even before that, I learned it even when I was a child. So I would say that it's 2025, so like 7 or 8 years, on and off. Sometimes I did, sometimes I did not. I have to leave it for a couple of years in between. Then recently a friend actually advised me to do it, and then I started doing it, and I learned it from her. She used to do it for 30 to 40 minutes at a stretch, not thinking anything, just having pure colors in front of her eyes. And I'm not naming her because I want to protect her privacy, but this experience kind of motivated me. I started meditating again, but this time I took the easier way, that is chanting. I started chanting till I went into depth of my thoughts, let it go, and I settle. And that's when I feel connected with the universe and the lack of self, and the entire process, the state in which I am when I'm chanting Om Namah Shivaya for around 30 or 40 minutes, that state could be considered Shiv. Not me, the state in which I am, right? And to be honest, such is the perception that the self fades away when you reach that state. It's complex, it's difficult. I would not say that it's not difficult, but the beauty of Ved Vyas is that he gave a name to that feeling. He understood that that feeling was universal, and he called it Shiv. I mean, what could be more beautiful? And that's what caught my attention. That's how the book starts. Now, in the beginning, of course, it's about the methods of worshipping Lord Shiv. So first starts with Shiv Puran, then Skand Puran, and then Vidyashwar Samhita. These are the questions that are more mechanical in nature. If you want, you can skip them and start directly with Rudra Samhita, which starts on page 215. That's where a story starts. Or if you want, you can dive deep into the entire book and read everything. In my case, I read Skand Puran, I read entirely because I didn't know where to get started. With Vidyashwar Puran, I read a bit, like a few chapters, and then I jumped directly to Rudra Samhita, where the story of Lord Shiva begins. But what makes this book unique and why you might consider reading it is because one of the most complex questions that has been bothering mankind for such a long time, Ved Vyas gives a poetic answer to that question, an answer that is not just intellectually thought through, but comes from experience. And when things come from experience and thought process, then it's a complete picture. Human beings are not merely intellectual beings. They are emotional beings, they are spiritual beings, they experience things, and everything has to come together to form an entire human. And that's what sets this book apart. Um, so definitely check it out. Read it if you want to, and it's definitely a lovely book. Now, a couple of things which kind of threw me a bit, made me a bit cringe, so as to speak. It's written in a very ancient way, so you need to understand the ancient traditions of Aryavard. Aryavard is the Aryanic region, or it's an ancient name of India or Bharat. Now, if you look at the traditions of Aryavard, it was like that, like people, there was a little bit of vertical hierarchy. So that's why you would say that Vishnu, like who is one another deities, he says that remembering the lotus feet of Shiva, which might feel a bit cringy to modern generation, or especially like uh, in this day and age where hierarchy is not that vertical. But you need to understand that these things merely means respect and nothing more. So if you could sort of put yourself into that time in Aryavard, I think you will be able to let go of these things. The way of telling is very much ancient way of telling, but the theory, the story, the concepts, the philosophy, the understanding, the explanation, they are eternal. And that's why you should read Shiv Puran. And I'm really glad that I, through these fortunate events, I found Shiva. Har Har Mahadev.